fourth and final driver focus session on strategy. What's your strategy? It's one of the questions most often asked of any group or people or organization that's working for change. But do you need one? What's the difference between strategy, strategic thinking, a strategic plan, or having a grand strategy? Gene Sharp is often given some credit for the Arab Spring because of his writing on strategy in the book, pamphlet, From Dictatorship to Democracy. He says that a strategy can be compared to an artist's concept, while a strategic plan is more like an architect's blueprint. Dr. Vincent Harding teaches that you can't create a movement, but that you can prepare for one. Where does strategy come from? Who authors it? What makes for a powerful grand strategy or artist's concept? What's the interaction between vision, reality, responsiveness, and learning to creating and using strategy as a driver of educational change? Where do values fit in? There's an almost endless supply of books, from business to war, organizing to educational change to social movements, on strategy. The following clips are not intended to cover that field of knowledge or elevate one over the others, but to further provoke your thinking.
I'm a parent. I have two kids. My daughter Ila Sophia is 6.5, and my son Cubby is 4, and I live in Oakland, and I live with 9 adults and 8 kids. So this is just a little bit about my world. I'm going to talk a little bit about sort of the arc of the global justice movement over the last couple of decades. I'm going to start with some really kind of a big picture thing. I'm going to talk about the relationship between economy, ecology, and empire, just to start. We'll try to do it in a minute. Eco means home, right? So economy is the management of home. And an ecosystem is all of the relationships in your home. And ecology is the knowledge of your home. Right? And an ecosystem can be as small as a ripple in a pond, or it can be as big as the planet. Right? When you globalize the economy, you globalize the ecosystem. So humans have done things like gone to war with each other in their homes for time immemorial. And human communities have chopped down trees for time immemorial. Right? When you globalize, because chop down trees, like when your economy is small, right? You can mismanage your home, and there will be consequences that you experience, and you will change the way you think about how to live in a place, and you'll do something different. When you globalize the economy, the consequences of your mismanagement of home are systemic. You cannot excise along the planet by carving up the Amazon rainforest or the boreal forests, right? You can't kill the circulatory system of the planet by taking all of the life out of the oceans, right? That when you globalize the economy, you globalize the consequences of mismanagement of home. And in an economy, there's a whole bunch of different elements, and one of them, a key one of them, is governance. And one of the primary mechanisms of governance of this profoundly mismanaged ecosystem is empire. Right? And I believe we are at the end of the empire. I believe we are this is the death throes of the empire. And everybody has an instinctive reaction of whistling. Good thinking. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Great, we can stop there. There are verses of it. So here's the thing. The topic today is backwards. I didn't make up the topic, but that's the topic. How come the alphabet's in that order? Is it because of that song? Right? You all think you see it's early. You know, it could be Z, Y, X, W, V, U, T, S, R, Q, P, O, M, N, L. No, that seems wrong. And a lot of people can't even do that. I started teaching my kids how to do that when they were 3 months old, so they would just be a little
out of bounds when they got this. And most of what I want to do today is take your questions, because that's the best part for me, selfishly. But there's a few things I want to put on the table about backwards, and about the way people who have the mad skills you guys have are approaching your work. I don't need to talk to you about how to see. I don't need to talk to you about the importance of beauty. I don't need to talk to you. I can't teach you anything about the tactics and mechanics of the work that you do, right? But I can talk a little bit about the leverage that's available to you and how you might see the world differently as you want to bring that work to the world. The myth of the overnight success is just that, a myth. That, you know, the much vaunted Twitter was a failure, a complete failure for 2 years. Nobody used it. And if they took the mindset of, well, if it doesn't work in 2 weeks, we got to go do something else, you never would have heard of it. Okay, and then the biggest one is this principle of leading up. That one of the things that I hear the most after I give a talk or someone reads one of my books is, that's great, but my boss won't let me. I'd love to do something like that, but my boss won't let me. Well, of course she won't. Because what you're saying to her is, I want to do something really cool and really neat, and if it works, I'll get the credit, but if it doesn't, you'll get the blame because you said it was okay. Who would take that deal? And that, in fact, what we see is that the people who have jobs or who have clients who are making a dent in the universe are doing it by leading the people who are ostensibly in charge to make better decisions. Leading those people to have better taste. Leading those people to have the guts to do the work that they're capable of doing. And so, no, you are not in charge. But in fact, nobody is in charge if you want to look at it that way, right? That even the President of the United States can blame the people who won't vote for his bills in the Senate or the House. No one is ostensibly in charge. But it's so easy for us to say, my boss won't let me, when what we're really saying is, no one gave me an effective place to hide. That we all grew up in an industrial world, in an industrial economy, a place where we were trained from the time we were 3 to do what we were told. That they invented public school, the industrialists of the world, because they needed more workers. And what they needed from workers are people who were willing to sit still for 10 hours, use a number 2 pencil, and follow instructions. That's what we were indoctrinated to do. That's how you got an A in 3rd grade, and that's how you got into a famous college, right? And so it's deep within us to want to do that and to let the boss tell us what to do. But we just changed all the rules, and that's not the option anymore. So I have bullet points here. The first one is, do it on purpose. Figure out on purpose every day when you go to do your work, how am I leading up? How am I doing the work and laying the tracks to get my clients to be better clients, to find better clients, to get my boss to be a better boss, and if my boss is unable to become a better boss, to leave and go find a better boss. Right? On purpose. That's your job. Number 2, tell stories that resonate with those in charge. You cannot prove anything to get the people you work for to do something, but you can tell them a story that gets under their skin, that resonates, that they remember. Number 3, demand responsibility, but don't worry at all about authority. That in the old system, in the top-down industrial pyramid, you're not allowed to tell anyone what to do unless you have the authority from the person above you. But in the bottom-up world we live in now, people who take responsibility are often given responsibility. It's okay, it's my fault. I'll take the responsibility for this. But if you are willing to let other people pretend to have authority, that's fine. Because we don't need no stinking badges anymore. That what we have is the ability to let our work speak for itself. The 4th one, reflect credit but embrace blame. This goes back to what I just said. So if there's something wrong, you own that. But if someone, particularly a boss or a client, wants to take credit, that's fabulous. And the reason it's fabulous is they will come back to you for more of that. Because they have a choice about who to work with, and they're eager to work with people who make them look good. So how do you deal with this environment where the boss won't let you? The answer is, do small things. Things that won't get you fired without asking. And if they work, go to your boss or your client and let them take full credit for what you did. And if they don't work, go to your boss and your client, tell them what you learned, and take responsibility. Because what happens when you start down that cycle is you get to do it again. And once you've done it 4 times or 6 times or 8 times, and the boss and the client is taking credit 4 times or 6 times or 8 times for a small thing you did in the world, they're going to come back to you and say, let's do that small thing again. And maybe we can do it even bigger together. And I'll take the credit and you'll say, fine, because you're getting to do the work.
You have an audience here of Occupy Wall Street. What do you want to say to them?
I want to say thank you for breaking through the silence. Thank you for starting a movement, but you have a long way to go. This enemy of ours is not just Wall Street, it's the whole culture. It's a way of looking at us and valuing ourselves and each other. And how you are going to move beyond challenging Wall Street, how you're going to move to become part of the solution is not going to be easy. You're going to have to do a lot of thinking. You have to look at how you yourselves have become part of this culture. You have to look at how many of you would be happy if you could become part of Wall Street and become part of the corporations, if they would give you jobs. There's a long road ahead, because you have the opportunity to create something new that's based on completely different values, but you're going to have to be thinking about values and not just about abuses.